happens when the brand that taught the world how to remember forgets to remember itself? This is the story of Kodak, a brand that didn't just make film and cameras, it designed how we experience memory. A brand whose yellow and red boxes became symbols of nostalgia, family, and permanence. A brand that at its peak controlled 90% of the photography market, but within a few decades found itself filing for bankruptcy. Kodak's story is about art direction, design psychology, and cultural storytelling. But it's also a warning, a reminder that no matter how iconic your brand is, the future will not wait for you.
Kodak presents the color of life.
We're all moving to a different rhythm.
Our hearts are beating to a different drum.
That's what keeps the whole world spinning.
And that's what makes the whole world fun.
Don't you know we're all part of the color of life?
You make it shine so bright.
Don't you know we're all part of the color of life? G. The color of life.
Kodak's philosophy began with George Eastman in 1888. Photography in that era was complicated, technical, and reserved for professionals. Eastman wanted to change that. His mission was simple: make photography something anyone could do. Kodak's first slogan captured this philosophy perfectly. You press the button, we do the rest. This was more than marketing. It was an entire brand identity. Photography wasn't about chemicals or darkrooms anymore. It was about the experience. It was about life. And that vision carried into Kodak's art design. From its earliest days, Kodak prioritized accessibility, warmth, and simplicity. Typography and font choices, Kodak leaned on bold, sans-serif typefaces. The fonts were clean, modern, and most importantly, unintimidating. They made the brand feel democratic, universal, unlike ornate or script typefaces associated with exclusiveness. Kodak's typography said, "This is for everyone." By the 1970s, Kodak's wordmark became thicker and bolder, framed inside the famous red K symbol. This wasn't subtle, it was dominant by design. The bold typography ensured Kodak's name stood out on shelves, on billboards, even on the tiny edge of a film canister. Then there's the color palette. Kodak yellow, and of course the Kodak red. Yellow represented optimism, joy, and warmth, the feelings tied to family albums and childhood memories. It also had a practical function. Yellow is one of the most visible colors to the human eye, making Kodak instantly recognizable in stores. Red symbolized urgency and emotion. It grabbed attention, evoked passion, and made the identity unforgettable. Together, yellow and red didn't just make Kodak stand out visually, they encoded the brand in people's emotions. You didn't just see Kodak, you felt Kodak. Now, why this worked? The fonts made this brand universal. The colors made it unforgettable. The combination made it emotional. Kodak's design wasn't about decoration, it was psychological storytelling.
$100. 1,000. The moments of your life are priceless. Are you saving them on the right film? Kodak Gold. No other film gives you truer, more consistent color, picture after picture.
When you hear the phrase Kodak Moment, you don't think of film, chemicals, or shutter speeds. You think of life, a wedding kiss, a child's first steps, or a summer vacation. That phrase, Kodak Moment, is one of the most successful and enduring brand slogans in history. And here's what makes it remarkable. It outlived the company's dominance. Even today, long after Kodak has faded from relevance, people still use it. The origin of the phrase, the term, Kodak Moment, began appearing in campaigns in the late 20th century, crafted with the help of agencies like Ogilvy and Mather. But what made it stick wasn't just clever copywriting, it was the decades of groundwork Kodak had already laid. From the very beginning, Kodak's marketing focused not on the product, but on the experience. While competitors leaned on specs and technical language, Kodak spoke to the heart. They told consumers This isn't about the camera. This is about you, your family, your life. So when the phrase Kodak Moment arrived, it didn't feel like advertising. It felt like the natural expression of what true consumers already believed. Kodak simply gave people the words. Kodak's ads during the period were small slices of life, almost cinematic in tone. They captured milestones and ordinary magic. A graduation with parents beaming in the audience, a soldier returning home from deployment, hugging his child for the first time in months, a couple vacation laughing under the Eiffel Tower, a family picnic messy with watermelon laughter. These weren't polished studio moments, they were everyday scenes, made extraordinary because Kodak told us they were worth saving. Commercials often ended with a narrator saying something like, "Don't let this pass you by, capture it, because it's a Kodak moment." That line turned photography from a technical act into a cultural ritual. Now, why did Kodak Moment resonate so deeply? Well, number one, it's how universal it was. Everyone has moments they want to hold on to. Birthdays, holidays, vacations, reunions, you name it. Kodak didn't define what a Kodak moment was that you did. The slogan was flexible, personable, and inclusive. Second was the scarcity of time. Kodak tapped into a deep emotional truth. Time is fleeting. Childhood doesn't last. Families change. Loved ones pass away, unfortunately. By framing memories at Kodak Moment, the brand implied, if you didn't capture this now, you'll lose it forever. Third was the cultural permanence. The slogan became shorthand for significance. If something was a Kodak moment, it meant it was not just worth remembering, it was worth celebrating. In addition to that, emotional framing. Every ad wrapped the viewer's own life in a glow of significance. Even if you weren't in Paris or at a wedding, Kodak made you feel like your life had Kodak moments too. Then you also had this global resonance. The beauty of Kodak Moment is that it transcended geography in Tokyo, Sao Paulo, Lagos, or New York. The idea meant the same thing. Kodak didn't have to localize the concept. Memory is universal. It also transcended class and status, whether you were a working class family with a Brownie camera or a professional photographer with a Kodachrome. You could have a Kodak Moment. And it became bigger than a slogan. Few brands managed to become verbs or cultural idioms. To Google something or to Xerox a paper, Kodak achieved this with Kodak Moment. People began using it in everyday conversations, even when they weren't holding a camera. If your child did something adorable, this was a Kodak Moment. If your team won a championship, that was a Kodak Moment. Or if your grandparents celebrated a golden anniversary, well, guess what? That was a Kodak Moment. The brilliance is that Kodak blurred the line between brand and culture. The Kodak Moment wasn't just about film, it became a way to interpret life. Even after Kodak's decline, the phrase lived on. Today, marketers still study it as an example of how to embed a brand into culture so deeply that it becomes language. Now, it's ironic the slogan may be more important than the company itself. Kodak may have lost its market, but Kodak Moment remains part of our vocabulary, in a way that the truest Kodak legacy, a reminder that life is made up of small, fragile, unforgettable instants. By the 1970s and 80s, Kodak wasn't just successful, it was a default brand of human memory. Number one, simplicity as strength. From the Brownie camera to Instamatics, Kodak made products that anyone could use. Their design philosophy was built on accessibility. Ads showed children, mothers, and everyday workers using Kodak cameras with ease. Photography was no longer intimidating, it was inviting. Second, Kodak mastered emotional storytelling. While competitors like Nikon and Canon marketed technical brilliance, Kodak leaned on emotional brilliance. They didn't promise the sharpest picture, they promised the most meaningful picture. Ads didn't make you admire the camera, they made you imagine your own life through it. That emotional positioning made Kodak unshakable. Third was the cultural domination. At its height, Kodak controlled 90% of the film market and 85% of camera sales in the US. That's near monopoly. Kodak wasn't just in homes, It was in space with NASA, on battlefields with journalists, in fashion with magazines, and on the big screen with Hollywood. And then there was a Kodachrome. Introduced in 1935, for the first time, ordinary people could capture life in vivid, permanent color. Generations grew up seeing their family history in the richness of Kodachrome hues. Paul Simon would later immortalize it in his 1973 song, a pop culture reminder of Kodak's place in history. At its peak, Kodak wasn't just a brand, it was a custodian of human memory. And yet, the custodian of memory became a cautionary tale. In 1975, Kodak engineer Steven Sasson invented the first digital camera prototype. It was clunky, yes, but it worked. He believed he had built the future. Kodak executives, however, were terrified. Digital threatened their billion-dollar film business. Film wasn't just a product, it was their entire empire, and so they shelved it. This is Kodak's great tragedy. They didn't miss digital because they didn't see it. They missed digital because they saw it too clearly and chose to ignore it. Kodak feared cannibalizing film sales, but in refusing to cannibalize themselves, they left the door open for competitors to do it for them. Canon, Sony, and later Apple embraced digital and ran with it. Kodak was left behind. Kodak believed people loved film, but people never loved film, they loved memories. Film was just a tool. When digital offered faster, cheaper, and more convenient memory making, consumers didn't hesitate to switch. For decades, nostalgia had been Kodak's greatest strength, but in 2000, it became a weakness. Consumers didn't want permanence, they wanted immediacy. They wanted sharing. Kodak kept selling scrapbooks while the world moved to screens. Now, perhaps it became too little, too late. By the time Kodak entered digital, the market was crowded and margins were slim. When smartphone turned every pocket into a camera bag, Kodak pivoted into home printers, a shrinking business in a shrinking world. In 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy. The brand that once dominated the world of photography was reduced to a shadow of itself. Kodak's story is not about a company that failed to innovate. It's about a company that invented the future and was too afraid to embrace it. Kodak wasn't just a company, it was a cultural force. Its fonts and colors became icons, and slogans and ads became part of everyday language. Its film and cameras documented everything from family reunions to humanity's first steps on the moon. Kodak taught the world how to see itself, but Kodak downfall showed us the danger of holding onto the past too tightly. Its obsession with protecting film blinded it to the reality that people didn't care about film, they cared about memories. They cared about the feeling. And that's Kodak's true legacy. It proved that people don't buy products, they buy what products make them feel. For brands today, the lesson is simple. Use designs not just to look good, but to tell stories. Stay consistent, but never static. Don't be afraid to disrupt yourself, because nostalgia alone can't protect you from the future. Kodak once captured the world, then it forgot to capture its own future. And maybe that's the irony. Kodak's brand endures not because of its survival in business, but because of the language it left us. The Kodak moment will live forever, even if Kodak itself could not. And that's the story of Kodak. How a brand became a memory. A story of color, typography, and slogans that touched generations. And a story of what happens when a company forgets to grow with the people it serves. Like every great story, it leaves us with lessons about art, about business, about time. Because at the end of the day, we're all just chasing moments worth remembering. And the brands that succeed are the ones that help us hold on to them, while daring to imagine what's next.
Out. And there are other brownie outfits for everyone on the list. So why not visit your Kodak dealers soon and see them all?
Kodak's brownie cameras cost as little as $5.95. Complete camera outfits start at $10.35. See them this week at stores that display this sign.
Stay creative and visit avenues7.com to learn more about us. I'm Molly Oradola, and until next time, stay inspired.